Okay, Unit 5, Lecture 2. We're getting into Reconstruction now. I'm going to throw up a whiteboard in just a second. This is a picture of Lee surrender to Grant and Appomattox in 1865, Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, which brings an end to the Civil War. The time period right after the Civil War we call the Reconstruction era. And Reconstruction was the federal government's plan to rebuild and reestablish the states of the former Confederacy. It's when they try to rebuild the South. Okay, I'm going to throw up a whiteboard for you for this. There seems to be a lot on it. Get the terms down, especially those amendments. In short, Reconstruction is a period when federal government tries to rebuild the South and restore the Union after the Civil War. The Civil War and Reconstruction are going to result in white Southern resentment towards both Northerners and Southern African Americans, and it will ultimately lead to the political, economic, and social control of the South by whites. And unfortunately, almost any gains made by former slaves are going to be temporary. All right. So, as a result of the North's military victory, President Lincoln's view that the United States is one nation, indivisible, had won. That's the prevailing opinion. All right. He said since secession was illegal, the Southern states, the Confederate governments in the Southern states were illegitimate, and the South really had never left the Union. Okay, so Lincoln then believed that Reconstruction should be fast, quickly restoring legitimate governments in the South, governments that are loyal to the Union, and he also believed that since the war was over, the federal government shouldn't punish the South. Instead, it should reunify the nation as quickly as possible. And in his second inaugural address, he outlined how he believed the United States government should act on Reconstruction. Lincoln said, "With malice towards none," and know this quote, "with malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations." Okay, with malice towards none, with charity for all. All right, so remember that. Now, unfortunately, just a few days after Lee's surrender at Appomattox, John Wilkes Booth will assassinate President Lincoln at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. When the president dies, his vice president takes over. So Andrew Johnson, who was Lincoln's vice president, takes over. He's a Southern Democrat Unionist who then becomes president. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the political clout that Lincoln does. So when Johnson steps in, the radical Republicans are going to gain control of Reconstruction. Okay, Lincoln kept people in line. Johnson doesn't have, like I said, the political clout, the ability to keep Congress in line. And the radical Republicans are members of the Republican Party who want to punish the former Confederate states for causing the Civil War. And first, they're going to refuse to allow Confederate states to re-enter the Union until they had undergone a period of military occupation. Okay, that means that the former Confederate states can be split into 5 zones, each occupied by the U.S. Army with a general in charge, and those troops will remain in the South, stationed in the South until Reconstruction's over. Second, the radical Republicans also believe in aggressively guaranteeing the voting and civil rights of freed African Americans, and they're going to repeatedly clash with President Johnson over the issue of civil rights for freedmen. And freedmen's a term you need to know, that's freed slaves. Okay, I'm going to continue this in B, just one second.